Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Underqualified, a podcast where we talk about shit we're not qualified to talk about. And before we get started, I obviously don't have my co-host here with me. Finally, I got rid of Charlene. We don't need her. Just kidding. She has COVID. Sorry, Charlene. I hope you get better soon. But today's guest, we have not only a Grammy-nominated engineer and producer, but also a Drexel alum, Hank Byerly. Welcome, Hank. Thank you so much for coming out.
Of course.
So do you just want to tell the people about yourself a little bit, how you got into music, how you got to where you are?
Sure.
Just whatever you want to get into.
Yeah, no, for sure. I kind of grew up in punk bands, just like in rural Pennsylvania, and we didn't have money for a studio, so it was kind of like, where do we record? And so I, learned how to do it in the basement, and then it was like everybody's trying to ask you, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And I was like, well, I like doing this.
The age-old question.
Exactly. You turn 18, they're like, okay, now you had to make the decision. So I thought Drexel was the best option for me, and I really enjoyed my time here a lot. I really kind of like the studio time and being able to just kind of go in and out. And I met a lot of great people, Ryan Moyes, Ryan Schwab.
Yeah, both the Ryans.
Two people that I love very dearly and who's helped me out so many times.
They're both great.
Yeah, got to shout them out. Got to give them raises. If
Absolutely. They're the two Ryans squared.
Exactly.
Holding down the fort.
Yep, they're great. And then after I kind of got out of, I was working a lot in college. I did a bunch of internships and kind of worked mostly in rock music up until right when I graduated. I was working for Will Yip. He's a lot of emo rock stuff. He's done a lot of really records that I grew up on, so it was where I did all my co-ops. So it was kind of a really cool experience to, take somebody that I really look up to and learn from and grow with. And eventually I started doing a lot of hip hop. Philly's got an amazing hip hop scene, just underground. People just really talented, just trying to put in the work and make themselves, the next big thing.
Absolutely.
So I was working rock music during the day as my 9 to 5, and then at night I would do hip hop sessions.
I remember you telling me you were in the studio 24/7.
Yeah, and while still I don't want to say thank God for COVID, because that's a terrible thing to say on so many levels. But I don't know if I would have been able to do that and school, because I was still in school at the time. So I kind of had Zoom on my lap as I'm engineering or, assisting or whatever I was up to at the time. So that kind of really actually...
Yeah, kind of a weird blessing in disguise.
Weird personal blessing that I can't really give all to COVID. But
no, I feel like a lot of people don't want to say that COVID was a good thing, because it wasn't a good thing. But I think having the time to I guess, chill out and stop, because everyone was so go.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't realize how badly they were burning out, or how badly they needed a break just from life and stuff. So personally, I had a good time during COVID. And I luckily have not gotten COVID yet. Sorry, Charlene.
We are very proud of you. But yeah, no, it's definitely a time of reinvention and reevaluation of is this the life I want to live? And I really was I was working all the time, and was blessed to have opportunities where I could keep working. And I think that's probably my favorite thing about Philly is I've always had this this love for this Philadelphia's culture and scene, because if you want to work, there's work for you, and all you have to do is just be open-minded to it and see those opportunities and go after them in a professional way, and get your name in the door. And I have just been working every day since I got to Drexel. And whether that's, working I went to class today or whatever, or I was in a session, it took me a while to get in sessions. I remember freshman year, I was I want to be in the studio at least. I think my goal was 4 times a week. I was I want to be in the studio 4 times a week, at least. Because I didn't.
That's a pretty reasonable goal.
Right. Especially with Drexel, because of the studio time. It's just you really could just go in and book 4 times a week. And then that started to become 5 times a week and 6 times a week. And then I was in the studio every day. And then I was in the studio so much where that goal wasn't even it was stopped becoming a goal and more a lifestyle. And I don't know if there's a lot of places like that, to be honest.
No, I did a camp at a different school for like a music industry thing, and they told us that the studios were only open to like upperclassmen for like projects and stuff. So when I came and toured here and they said that any grade, anyone can use the studios like for whatever, I was like, oh, like they're actually like giving free reign to like anybody who wants or needs to use it, which I think is a great opportunity, especially to like get hands-on experience.
Absolutely. And then I think it's pretty, a lot of people, not a lot of people, like as if I've got like this crowd of people asking me questions all the time. It's some people have asked me, do I need to go to school to be an engineer, to be a producer, to do all these things? And my answer is generally no. I love Drexel and I think my education was extremely valuable for me. But if you see, there is a difference. Like if you came up if you came up interning at studios and you work at a studio every day and that's how you learned, I think it's a different process than being able to come to a university that has these facilities open to you, that you can just go in and mess around in. And I remember my first few sessions, I think every first few sessions, you're just trying to figure out how to work it. Like, it's not like, oh, we're making the best music in the world. Like, I can't wait to make my magnum opus day one at Drexel. It's just like, how do I get Pro Tools to make sound? Like, how do I get sound in? How do I get sound out? And I am so glad I did not have those, those trials and tribulations when I was on the clock, when a client is like looking over my shoulder. It's just me and the homies trying to go through Pro Tools IO again and again, emailing the very kind Ryan Moyes. That man has infinite patience. You know how many probably emails he gets of like, yo, please.
Oh yeah, no, he's been great, especially with building the studio and stuff. Like, I've gotten to know him very well. Shouts out Ryan Moyes.
Shouts out Ryan Moyes again. We're gonna do that every 5 minutes. But yeah, so I think for me personally, it was a really great experience. That was probably one of my favorite parts about Drexel, is just being able to, come through and work and figure out how audios and, just kind of go from there. Anyway, so I was doing rock music during the day, hip hop at night, and eventually through a studio that I was working at night, they were like, yo, can you clean up this session for us? Like, somebody like laid waste to the studio at night. We got a client coming in that we needed to be clean for. Can you help out? So I was like, yeah, for sure. And ironically, to do that, I had to miss my first history of hip hop class. So it was like, oops, sorry about that.
You're taking history of hip hop in real life.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is gonna be great. But it turns out I didn't really know about it, but the producer that was working there, we just like started talking about a million different things. The client was kind of late, so we were just kind of, or maybe he was early, I don't know. And the client wasn't there, is my main point. And we were just talking about all sorts of things, from, Ableton to cycling to whatever. We were just hanging out. And eventually I realized that, that was Tier Wax, producer, engineer, manager, all of her person, I should say is probably a better term for him. And his name's Kenny. He is an amazing engineer. He's probably low-key one of the best engineers in Philly. I gotta give him his flowers because he hates giving himself flowers. If you look on all of her records, it says produced by blank, engineered by blank. So if nothing else, I'm gonna be the guy that champions
Absolutely.
his name,
You have
because
to.
he's insane. Anyway, so we hit it off, and I dipped, and eventually he was posting on Instagram, yo, does anybody want to come help out? And, I rolled up to the studio after replying to the message and started engineering Tiara from there, and just haven't stopped since.
That's awesome. That really is like right place, right time, right conversation, right connection. Right person, like everything just came together like Stars all aligned. At once.
Absolutely.
Like, that's awesome. It's also really great to hear your experience like as an engineer and as a producer who has a college degree, because I know a lot of people have different opinions and different experiences, and a lot of people say you don't need to go to college, and some people say they're glad that they did. So it's interesting to hear like a different perspective and a new perspective, because everyone's experience in the industry is so different, like how they come up and where they learned how to do their craft and where they want to go and stuff. So I think it's helpful for anyone who's like aspiring to be in the industry, someone who's on the tech side and not as much as on the business side, because I'm on the business side, and like personally, like I think having like my degree will help me a lot, but a lot of people who are like engineers and producers feel very differently about it. Yeah,
I think the main thing is you have to be upfront about certain things. I don't think your degree, and I hope that this is like well advertised, like your degree doesn't really, the degree is just, in most other professions, you get the college degree and then it's just like, okay, now I can start a job. And I think in the music industry, it's such like a wild west of a place where it's like you really can roll up, and they don't care about. I've never once been in a session and them been like, yo, did you go to college, or did you graduate, or let me see your degree, or any of this.
Prove it to me.
Exactly.
What was your GPA?
Like resumes, man. I think I put like one resume.
What did you get in Stat 101?
Exactly. Like, and it's like even like resumes, like, not to say like business side, I'm sure is different, but if you're just like working in studios and doing all this stuff, you get like a few resumes here and there that they glance at, but really it's just like, how do you behave in this session? Are you a good vibe? And that's really the number one thing, I think, when you're first starting out, is like, can you just be a fly on the wall? And that was actually kind of hard for me to learn, to be honest. Like, I think I think there is like a culture in the studio that is, an adjustment, especially if you come from a place where, you're trying to make it work for yourself, and you're trying to do all these things for you. I think there is a lesson to be learned of like stepping back and being like, this is not my room. This is the artist's room. This is, maybe her engineer's room. And I think that's probably what I got most out of interning and assisting. It's just like letting other people, like doing my work kind of out of the spotlight, if that makes sense, and letting everybody else have their moment, and me just do little things here and there to make their lives easier.
For sure.
I feel like I went on a tangent. Let me try to circle back to what we were actually
talking
about.
No, that was great. And like I feel like that was awesome. I think that like you need like a level of just like self-awareness and stuff, and it's like, I guess it's like hard to do that when you're so used to being one way, especially like if you're going to school all the time and you're in like that college or that school mentality, and you forget how to like be a person.
Exactly. And it's also like we're like teenagers for the most part. It's like everything's about us. Like we live and breathe us. Like this is like, we live like a very you-centric, and I'm not saying any of that's bad, but I think it's a skill set to, be able to put that aside for the session. And that's like a huge thing I learned. Because I remember going to my first internship, and it was just all about like, what can I do? And I learned a lot from that one, and then I went to another one, learned a lot from that one, and I was amassing all these skills. I was learning how to mix, I was doing all these things. And when I came to Will Yips, I was like, if I look at my takeaways, it's not what kind of plugins he used, it's not what kind of, how he's really fast at Pro Tools or doing all these things, or why his record sounds so good. I mean, there's definitely some of that, but I think my biggest takeaways from him was just learning how he, interacts with artists, and how he, creates the room where people can create, and how I fit into that space when I was working with him. And I think those skills like translate to, like, it's not a genre thing. It's a human interaction thing. And I really can't stress that enough. If you're just starting out, is like really trying to make sure what you're bringing to the table is all good energy, all positive vibes, quietly.
For sure. I mean, like, especially as like a producer, engineer, like you're like, someone's like trusting you with their art and with their, their thoughts and like their songs and something that's personal to them, and creating a comfortable environment is like, is going to cultivate probably the best art and the best work. So people skills is definitely very important, especially in this industry where connections is going to get you farther, or it's going to get you pretty far, versus, I guess, knowledge and skill in some aspects, I feel.
No, you're totally right. I know some people that, are really quick and are really fast and, are really great engineers. And, I've just noticed, not like I've been around for a while. I'm only 23, but it's so there's
you have a lot under your belt, though.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like I've seen, people's trajectories off the course of their career not be based on talent, but be based on, their network and who they know and all that. And there's nothing, I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just, how it is, to be honest.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I when I was starting out, I think everybody, when they're starting out, they get in situations where their skill set is still growing and they're still learning how to do their job professionally. And, I think that a lot of times I got in rooms where I wasn't there. Like there was times when I was engineering an artist and they were quicker than me, or there's times where I was, trying to get these files and I wasn't, didn't double check something enough, or, had these like setbacks. But I've never lost a client based on my relationships and my people skills and being the guy that they can call and they know the job's going to get done. And I think that's going to carry you farther, like we're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And just being able to just be open-minded to opportunities and being able to push yourself to be in those rooms. Because every time I left those sessions where I felt like I wasn't cutting it one way or the other, and I'm not saying I was like, kill the vibe of the session or like set anything on fire. It's just more like I've got a pretty high standard for how I work, and if I don't meet that high standard, I grow. And I'm an engineer. I already know that pop and click. On the other hand, I have a standard for myself, and I have a bar, and if I don't meet that bar, I improve to get to there. And I think those sessions grow and exponentially increase your skill level, versus if you were like, well, I think I can handle recording my homie for the next 3 years, and it's like, well, I'm sure you guys are gonna make some great music, but if you put yourself in a room where you're reaching, and you're trying to level up.
You're very driven and very motivated. How do you stay motivated?
That's a good question. That's a really interesting question. I mean, up until I graduated, and this is, I think, true for most people, just based on the American school system, everybody's telling you what to do. Like you go to school, and you got a class schedule, and you are at your class, and you can choose not to show up those classes once you get to college, and that's up for you to decide and everything. But for the most part, it's regimented. What am I going to do next week? Oh, I got my schedule. And that's just how you are until you're like, if you go to college, 21, 22. So like, when they take that away, and you're just like, all right, go.
You're off on your own.
I was surprised at myself. I was surprised, like, because it's like, I worked at a studio all the time, so it was like I had to be there by 8, and I was on that regiment. And then once I started freelancing, I would say I considered myself fully freelancing by the beginning of 2021. 2021. I was actually surprised at myself. I was like, wow, because I don't have someone telling me what to do, I need to set up habits to give myself the illusion of getting my day started. Otherwise, I'm wasting time, and and when I say wasting time, I'm not like, oh, let me take some personal time here and there. That's but I'm like not getting out of bed at the right time, and I'm not getting up and working. And I also think that this industry, for me personally, is super last minute. I never really know what I'm doing until the day of. With my schedule. Right. I also work for a lot of rappers, so that just kind of comes with but even outside of hip hop, it's like the last minute scheduling is definitely something that I have to accommodate. Like if you were like, yo, let's do this podcast, what do you do? I think I answered you pretty last minute about what my schedule was, just because everything is super, like I've got 2 sessions today, but that could turn into 3, that could turn into 1, that could turn into 0.
I know. When you said that you were free this week, I was like, oh, I gotta take advantage. I don't know when you're going to Atlanta for a month again, because we were supposed to do this like months and months ago, and then you ended up getting busy. But life happens.
Life happens, but it's also just like when those down hours come, like, are you using those effectively? And so, I'm not, to be honest, I'm not as much of a morning person as I thought I was. I was just
not a morning person.
I was a morning person because it was like, it's like somebody's telling me to get up. I got a 10 a.m. class. I got to get up. I'm cool with that stuff, but it's just like, just get up on a Saturday at 8.
No, thank you.
Oh my God. So I started doing these little things.
Go into some of the habits that you've created for yourself.
So this is really crazy, but
no, I want to hear it.
These are like little,
because I think this will be really helpful, especially because like me and like a bunch of my friends, like we're on the brink of like graduating. I mean, I have another year. I'm going to be in grad school, but like we're getting to that point where people are kind of branching off and starting to do different things and having to like take care of themselves and like have their own schedule and like. So I think this will be very helpful.
Take care of yourself is like probably like the catch-all phrase for what we're about to go into. I do these things because I'm trying to take care of myself, and I'm, to be honest, probably one of the least healthy people on the planet. Just based off of me sitting in a chair for 12 hours a day. And, but anyway, so I'm doing these things to try to take care of myself and take care of, if not myself, then my work and the people I work with, and to make sure everybody's good. But anyway, so I recently did this thing where I got 2 rooms in my house, that I share with a bunch of amazing roommates. One is my studio, and one is my bed.
Mm-hmm.
And my studio is like where I spend most of my time. My vibe, everybody comes through. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing this thing where I leave my phone in my studio once I'm done working. I don't sleep too crazy, but it's just like from the hours of like, I don't know, like I try to get 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's kind of like crazy. An engineer that sleeps 8 hours, I try to. I think I do my best work when I'm, slept,
well rested.
Well rested. So I try to get 8 hours. So like from like, let's say like 12 to 8, but it's usually like 1 to 8 or something.
Yeah.
So I've got an old school alarm clock in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And when that wakes me up, I have to put my feet on the floor. There's like no snooze. There's none of that. It's like
the snooze button is my favorite feature.
I love the snooze button so much, but I just found myself without that regimen, without that schedule. And it's not like I didn't have things that I could be doing, especially since when I'm not engineering, I am producing. Like I'm making tracks, I'm making beats. I'm trying to get myself set up for the next situation. And that's a whole other thing of motivation, because no one's breathing down your neck for beats that you haven't made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been really interesting to just be able to, okay, I love the snooze button, but I'm going to put that down because I want to be up by 8:30. I don't have to be cognizant. I don't have to be like in Pro Tools by 9, but I have to be like feet on the floor, make a pot of coffee by 8:30.
Right.
If I've had a long night, that's cool. I'm going to get up at 8:30. And then if I take a nap sometime or crash or whatever, like that's different. But I just found myself getting caught in this loop of staying in bed too long and scrolling through my phone and like getting really addicted to things that like do nothing for me.
Definitely something that I am struggling with.
I think it's like a thing that our generation deals with that a lot of people don't talk about. One, because it's self-imposed.
Mm-hmm.
No one's forcing you to be on your phone, but it is an addiction, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, it's definitely not healthy to have the phone here. See, I have mine right here.
Yeah.
But like have it on me at all times.
Yeah, exactly. And in your down moments where like you're getting bored in class, like you're just mindlessly scrolling. And I just have tried to, I wouldn't say I'm like doing like an amazing job, but I have tried to be conscious of that,
right.
Especially in the morning where I feel like I can stall out my day
and
all those things. So that's like the first thing. I've been trying to go for runs. I'm not an athlete. I have never been an athlete. I did not make any of the tryouts on any team that I ever was a part of. Like, this is not who I am.
Yeah, no, I could not do sports. I was a band kid.
Yeah, band kid for sure. Band kid for sure. But even marching, like that was like tapping me up.
Time out.
Yeah,
I gotta sit.
Yeah. Okay, we gotta do the circle again. All right. But yeah, so I started running. And I started running not because I love it or because I feel like I'm going to be the best runner that's ever been a thing. My mile times are pretty insignificant. I'm a competitive person. I like to push myself. Oh, yeah. But I leave my running app out of my life. You know what I mean?
That's probably a healthy thing.
Right. So I just push myself in that way. I try to run. I don't have a very good schedule with it, but I'm trying to get better at just going and just like running 2-3 miles. Today I woke up and I was like, I'm going to run 10 miles.
Holy shit.
I'm going to run 10 miles. I've never run 10 miles before. But Kenny, one of my best friends, and the guy I was talking about before, he bikes. He's a cycler. So he'll talk to me about all these like crazy things he does, where it doesn't seem possible that a human being that's not in the Olympics can do. And he just says talking about it is all mental. It's like the way you push yourself. And this is not just with running or biking. It's just with everything. It's like you have self-imposed limitations of like, oh, man, I can't do this because of that. And I think when you're engineering and you're producing and doing something you love, a lot of those limitations go away because you're enjoying yourself and you're having a good time. And, I think those limitations are more mental than they are physical.
Absolutely.
As I'm finding out. So it's just like, well, why can't I run 10 miles a day? You know, why can't I push myself to do that? Like, yeah, I'm not in shape. Yeah, I don't run like ever, but why can't I just like wake up and run 10 miles? So I did it. First 5, killed it, dude. Killed it. I was trucking. Next 5, oh my gosh. I texted you. It was like, yo, can we push it back? Because I was 4 miles away from my house struggling. But it's just like things like that. It's just like, 1, it's healthy for me to do for my body. 2, it helps me push myself limitation-wise and realize that these barriers are self-imposed and that I can cross these. And it takes away the excuses, I think.
That's actually so interesting that you brought up mental self-limitations, because I've been going to the gym for almost a year, and I was in a pretty bad rut for a while, and I was like, why am I not making the progress that I want to be making? And I just thought back to all the times when I was like in dance classes or in band or in any kind of instructed whatever, and I just remembered all of like my teachers and instructors being like, do like, if you, I don't know, do 10 push-ups, and you're like, okay, I'm tired, and it's like, you can do another one.
Yeah.
You can do 2 more. You can do 5 more.
Mm-hmm.
And just realizing that like you're not pushing yourself hard enough, because it's crazy how much we're capable of when we don't limit ourselves. So just doing 1 more mile, or like 1 more rep, or putting on more weight on the rack or whatever. Like, it's just interesting that you brought that up, because I've been thinking of that recently as well.
I mean, it applies to life, to be honest. Exactly what you're saying. It's just like 1 more rep is 1 more mix, 1 more hour, 1 more, 1 more thing that you have to get done that you do not want to do, but it's going to help you out.
And when you do it, you're like, oh my God, I did that. That, like, I feel so good. I feel amazing. And now I can do more. Now that I can do this amount, I can do 1 more, or I can do 5 more. And like, I'm capable of that, and I can do more, and I need to stop limiting myself, and I need to push myself more.
Exactly.
Because like you said, no one's telling you to do something. Like, no one's telling you to create something that you want to create. Like, you have to want to do it, and you have to push yourself to do it.
Exactly. You summed it up perfectly.
So you mentioned you were working with Tiara, and you mentioned Will Yip. I was looking at your website, and you worked with a lot of artists.
Yeah, I think I left out Adam Blackstone, and I can't do that. He's been amazing. Adam has been, I met him really early on. I was a sophomore, and this is like, I got to tell this story more. Shout out Ryan Moyes. We were at a Grammy event. My best friend was like the Grammy rep at the time. So she would bring me in to like, yo, can you, help out, take out dishes or whatever. I don't know, just, help. I was like, yeah, for sure. So I pulled up, started helping out, and then realized that this event was kind of crazy. Like, there were some really cool people there, really cool Philly OGs. And Ryan Moyes was there. And I was like, yo, it's crazy to see you outside of class. We're talking, whatever. And Adam Blackstone walks up, and Adam is like, oh, what's up, Ryan? Adam Blackstone is one of the craziest men in music, like just insanely talented, top of the game. He did, if you guys aren't familiar, the Super Bowl this year. He did the Oscars. He did the Grammys.
Wow.
And he did the same thing last year.
That's crazy.
American event, like big event, like my man's got
American
it down.
entertainment is resting on his shoulders.
Literally that. I mean, there's a reason for it. He's the best at what he does. And I knew he was like, at the time, like I knew kind of I was a little bit aware. So when Ryan was like, oh, if you need an engineer, Hank's your guy. And I was a sophomore that just figured out the Pro Tools out. So it was just like,
holy shit.
Thank you.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And
it's like, I'm 20.
Yeah, I really don't got like the level, like he's top tier.
Yeah.
And I was just like coming up, and I was trying to figure myself out. So the next week, he's like, yo, my studio's broken. Can you come fix it? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And I'm pretty good at fixing things. I'm just kind of like a tinkerer by nature. So I get into the studio, and it is, it is definitely not working correctly. So, I do my thing. I try to fix it. And then our relationship starts building from there. I started working on this TV show with him and I was like math. Niko was in my math class. Math is not my thing. So I was like borderline like failing at the time. The fundamental course, like second time I was
100.
Math 100. I took that twice, and it was just like not my thing. And it was my final, and I got a text from him, and he was like, "Yo, can you come to my studio?" And I was like, "Great. Well, I know for a fact that I need to get at least a C on this final, or I will not pass. But I also can't be late for the session." So it's just like, Jesus, take the wheel.
Buckle down.
Yeah, buckle down.
Strap in.
I was just filled out the bubbles, put a bunch of work down to hopefully get partial credit for, and then I pieced out. And I got to think, I don't know that teacher's name, but he did the most getting me a C on that test. And I got there, and that session went well. And he was like, "You should fly out to LA and work on this with me, in LA."
Wow.
So summer of sophomore year, I just I did that. Or junior, one of those. I went to LA with nothing but my backpack and Pro Tools, and my parents are pilots, so it's been a huge blessing for me to just have tickets available to just kind of fly back and forth.
That's really convenient.
Yeah, so it was just like, yeah, man, I'll be there, I'll pull up. And I just like slept in a hostel for $40 a night with my backpack like this, and like in Koreatown, and then walked to Hollywood Boulevard and went to the studio.
That's crazy.
And it was amazing. I was so glad I did that, because it was just like those situations where you level up. And through Adam, I've worked with a lot of artists, that household names that I've done a lot of drum mixing for Adam. So he'll have live shows for, Camila Cabello, Normani, Ed Sheeran.
I love Normani.
Oh, so good, so good. And
I was a Fifth Harmony stan in high school. No longer.
I mean, listen, they got bangers. So they would just have these records kind of like pre-recorded in a lot of ways, not their vocals, but everything, for the most part else. And they'll just have me mix the drums. So I'll do all those drum mixes. Shout out Brian Fraser Moore, the best drummer, one of the best drummers. And yeah, so through Adam, I've done a lot like that. I've done a lot of TV shows for him. I'm very, very grateful too.
That's awesome. Do you have like any
calls from him?
Upcoming projects that you can talk about, or anything that you're excited to work on in the near future?
Absolutely. So in my downtime, I've been engineering and producing artists that I really mess with, and I think they're on like a really crazy vibe. So I'm gonna be doing a few things. One, I'm gonna be doing my social media, because obviously you gotta stay relevant. Two, I'm gonna release a series that highlights Philly artists. It's kind of like a tiny desk, but way less official. But it's gonna be a video series condensed for Instagram, and it's gonna be it's called a song of the month done in a day. So
That's
it's
really
just
cool.
like, Regina, if you want to come through, we'll pull up, right? We're gonna make a song in a day. We're gonna film it. We're gonna cut it down to Instagram length. Where you can release a song if you want to, but it's gonna be on socials for everybody to see. So that's really
cool. Definitely, I'll have my artist come through.
I was talking about you. I know you got.
I'm no artist. I'm on the business side. But speaking of artists, I am wearing an Ocean Heights shirt.
I noticed. Shout out Ocean Heights.
Fun fact. Niko is here as well. The first house show that we went to our freshman year was at your house.
At my house.
And I didn't realize that until we met up and we talked. And Ocean Heights was the first band I saw, and it was at your house, and it was a really weird full circle moment that kind of happened. And it was just kind of, it blew my mind.
That is wild. Yeah, we had a lot of house shows back in the day, so it's cool to see like them like kind of come up here and there. So you said you worked with Ocean Heights. Like, we booked that show, a band for that show one time, and I guess saw my bands play. Saw Ocean Heights. Good time.
It was really cool.
But yeah, so I've got that series coming up, and I'm trying to work on a bunch of really cool records for a bunch of up-and-coming artists that'll be, out sometime soon. And yeah, that's kind of my itinerary.
That's really awesome. Okay, and just to wrap it up, I'm going to do a little Vogue inspired sort of interview questions. It's just a couple questions.
Sure.
And just kind of so you can look back at this next year, a few years from now.
Sure.
Okay, so state your name.
Hank Byerly.
And what is today's date?
Is it the 14th of April, 2022?
It's actually the 13th.
13th. My watch is set incorrectly.
And how old are you?
I am 23.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Working on really good music with really good people.
Great answer. Do you see yourself happy then?
Yeah. No, I do.
Confident.
Yeah, I see myself happy then. Yeah, I see myself happy then.
Are you happy right now?
Yeah, I'm happy right now.
And what's some advice you would give your past self?
That even if you feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again, it's gonna work out the way that you want it to. Like if you're washing the car, Mr. Miyagi style, like there's a reason for it. And I think in a lot of times in the past, I'll catch myself being really frustrated, like washing this car. And I think it's important to look at that as the big picture.
That's awesome. Thank you, Hank, so much
Of
for
course.
coming through. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule.
Of course.
I appreciate it. And where can the people find you?
I'm on Instagram, Hank Byerly, and my website, hankbyerly.com. And hit me up. I'm not, unreachable.
And we'll link everything, and we'll be posting on Instagram as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening and watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.